to come in while I get the link up and running from behind the scenes. And we're going to get into a little bit of a conversation today about the video that we did last night. I didn't necessarily want to go live today, but my spirit was like, go live, talk about it. It's late, so not that many people are going to be on, but that is fine. I'm okay with that. Because my spirit told me to go live tonight, I just went ahead and went live. And whoever is here for the conversation is here for the conversation. And then we shall go from there. Alrighty then. Let me get this link to the text notification squad, as well as the free notifications on Telegram. So let me get these out. And then, all right, I see you all are coming in. Hey, welcome. All right, so the text just went out. Let me go ahead and get these links up. All right, and then we're going to get live on the other platforms, right? Hey, all right, let's go ahead and do this. All right, we are live on Twitch, we're live on Twitter, we're live on Facebook, we're live on LinkedIn, and of course, we are live on YouTube. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome. All right, so welcome in, everyone. Welcome. I don't really plan on being on for very long. I want to, you know what? We might open up the phone line. We might. I'm not sure. Actually, you know what? We can go ahead and get them open. Let me gear up, because I really do want to hear from you all, because I'm curious as to why people have an adverse reaction to the truth. You know what I mean? Oh, wow, we're going to have a nice small broadcast, 101 people. I feel it. All right, perfect. Phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. All right. So, yeah, phone lines are open. So we're talking about the Black community and why people have such an issue with the truth. So last night I put out a video about how the 4 Americans who were kidnapped in, I don't want to do air quotes because the story is that they were kidnapped. It turns out that they each have long criminal records, spanning back more than a decade in some cases, right? Or just about a decade. In all different cases, they were all different types of things. One guy had multiple ongoing domestic violence charges. One guy was selling crack within half mile of a school, as well as selling Adderall. The lady's daughter was found with amphetamines in her system, I believe. To check for sure, you just go to last night's video. But all of them had a long sordid past, breaking and entering, snatch and grab, all different types of things. And people are like, it doesn't matter. There were some people that were really upset with me. And I'm personally curious, because I'm like, all right. So these people said that they were going into a drug town run by a drug cartel, each with long history of drugs selling, manufacturing in the system of their children, or distributing. And I'm curious as to why we feel that that is not relevant to the story overall. So I am curious. I am very curious about that. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome. I am your host, Tonya TKO. The number is scrolling across the screen right here. 323-488-3149. Someone is saying you can get passports with crimes on your record. Well, you know what? Somebody else brought up something really interesting. A number of their charges. So one of the guys was set up by an informant, right? Who he sold crack to several times, right? Somebody mentioned in one of the comments, either last night or this morning, that several of their charges were dropped. The woman did not spend time in jail for her child, having the drugs in her system. And so it makes me also wonder, looking at a grander scheme of things, were they turned state witness? Did they get turned? Were they offered a deal to then become mules or informants or CIs, or were they? But my overarching question is, why do we get upset at the truth tellers in our neighborhoods or in our families or in our community? Why? Why do we get upset at the people who tell the truth? A wise man once told me that your eulogy is written by how you live. And what will people have to say about your contribution, about your patterns here on earth, right? CN is saying, if you are a felon, you cannot have a passport. I don't believe that to be true. Is that true? Because we reviewed the records of a passport bro who was a convicted felon. And he was in the Dominican Republic. It may matter the country. So we can Google that, right? So there's someone here named Suzanne who is telling me to stop. I mean, you can call in. I'm actually curious. I want to hear what is the problem, because I've heard there was one woman who commented on my video once, and she was like, she outed her uncle for having touched her inappropriately when she was a little girl. And the uncle was at the Thanksgiving dinner, but people screamed at her and shouted her out of the house. And they wanted to keep family business secret or whatnot. But the truth of the matter is that there were several people that he had touched in the family, and the family wanted to keep it hush hush. And they disowned the woman who spoke up. And so I'm curious. So here, let me see. Can you get a U.S. passport with a criminal record, right? Here. So it's like, you see, people say all types of shit on the internet, and they speak it confidently, and they don't know what they're talking about, right? It's like, I don't know if the phone line is not working. So it's like, so here, there is, look, I'll just put the screen up. Look, you can see for yourself. And the thing is that there are people out there who talk on the internet. They don't know what they're talking about. It says most felons can get a passport without a problem. This is assuming the person is not currently awaiting trial. It says here, documents that show citizenship, they do not contain people's criminal record information. U.S. Passport Help Guide. A passport is relatively easy for a convicted felon, so long as you do not have any international felony drug convictions, however. And this is from uspassportguide.com. And so it's like, I wonder why. It's like, in real life, we know that people lie. But for some reason, we think that whenever somebody states something on the internet, that is the truth. I showed the long-standing criminal record of a vlogger that you all wanted to follow, and decided to just disregard, right? To just disregard the patterns of forgery, harassment, death threats, domestic violence, and all of this other stuff, right? And, and then when this person presented forged information to besmirch, another vlogger or other vloggers, right? You all believed what a forger. It's so funny. I don't even know what to say about this. It's so funny. So nonetheless, listen, phone lines are open 323-488-3149. Why is it that we feel that a person's patterns of behavior, because trust and believe, if there's a person who was arrested once or convicted once, they committed that same crime dozens, if not hundreds of times. This is why, and then also this is why when police officers pull a person over for running a stoplight or even running a stop sign or speeding, they take it very seriously because there are behavioral patterns of law breaking that if you don't have respect for the governance of the law, period, if you don't have respect for these laws, you don't have respect for those other laws either. Right? So they pull people over all the time for no registration, for all this, that, and the other, because this is how they find people who have committed bigger crimes. And so I'm waiting for the phones. I don't see. Can somebody test the line to see if it's going through? I just need someone to test the lines because there are people who said. And then someone is mentioning the cartel apology. Did you all see that madness? I'm going to show this to you. What they're calling the cartel apology. Did you all see that? I mean, when I saw it, I thought it was like, here, take a look. This is what they're claiming is the cartel apology, right? They're claiming, let me see if I could get the better screen here. It's stunning because I'm like, this is what they're calling oops, I clicked on the thing by mistake. This is what they're calling the cartel. So we're talking about organized crime. They're making this seem like these people are 2-bit hustlers and not a sophisticated crime syndicate. So the lines are working. You're in the air with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi, Tonya. This is Shantae from Queens, New York.
Hey, hold on. Let me get my volumes and stuff together. Shantae?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I hear you. Thank you for testing the line.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
All right. Well, you have a good evening.
You do the same, dear.
All right, then. Bye-bye. All right. So the phone lines are working. So call in 323. Suzanne said that she will call. So we're waiting to hear from Suzanne. And you know what I'm saying? We are, I don't know. It's like we're sitting here like we're just believing anything that comes across. We're believing anything. And the thing is that we have lost our discernment. They don't teach philosophy until the collegiate level. So a lot of people are not learning inductive and deductive reasoning. And we have a lot of people who just don't know how to use their rationale, right? California is saying drug dealers and dope heads get BBL. Has anybody heard from the actual doctor that she was going to? I mean, people are saying all different types of stuff, but the alleged doctor that they were going to see. And then somebody also said that she's been researching. I saw this in my comments. Listen, she said she's been researching on getting a tummy tuck, and she said that they don't recommend you move for 6 weeks, 2 weeks at the minimum. That you can, but to drive from North Carolina to Mexico with the number of hours that you'd have to be sitting upright. Because remember, there what, 4 of them, 5 of them were in the car. It was another girl who was stopped at the border, but she couldn't get through because of her paperwork, right? And so one of the guys, I believe it was Eric, he didn't tell his wife that he was going on a trip. So if he was going to be there for 2 weeks, at least 2 to 6 weeks, right? But he didn't tell his wife that he was traveling. It's like, why is it that we're not asking questions? Why is it that we're just believing anything? Why is it that people see this and they're like, oh, yeah, the cartel, organized crime syndicate wrote this letter and then gave up 5 people. This is, I mean, it's like, come on, what are we talking about here, right? And then if you also think about it, right? If these people were going to purchase narcotics, why would the cartel be upset with them? These are their customers and clients coming in. This is why I'm like, so a number of them, each one of them had charges dismissed. Each one of them for serious charges dismissed, right? Were they turned state witness? Were they going down there to be some sort of informant to set up the cartel in some sort of way? Like, why would the cartel shoot their customers? This is the thing that just is not making sense. Who knows what is going on? Who knows? Were they buying from a competing agency? All right, the phone is ringing. Let me grab this. You're on Your Live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Tonya. This is Tiffany from Atlanta. How are you?
Tiffany
Yes.
from the other
You hear
day?
me? Yes. From the other day.
This is not the Tiffany who tried to bully me on the phone, is it?
No, it's the one that I told. I sent you the cash app and said it's not the crazy Tiffany. It's the other Tiffany.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Welcome. Because we got to be on the lookout. Some people not doing very
Yes.
well. Who's calling in? Okay. So I guess Suzanne was not
Yes.
gonna call. People just be talking junk in the comments. All right, Tiff, talk to us.
Yes. This is about a situation that happened to me just last week.
Mm-hmm.
I was in traffic and I had to abruptly stop and I wondered what was going on. It was at night, very dangerous. We were going over a hill. When I noticed that there was a car, there was like 3 cars in front of us who was braking purposely, and I'm assuming trying to cause an accident because there was no reason for him to have been braking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I noticed he did it to the 2 cars in front of me, then he tried to do it to me. So when I tried to pass him, he tried to swerve out as well. So I ended up behind him, and I ended up being behind him into where he was going. We were going to the same shopping center. So I observed the person get out of the car, and it was a young black male. He was going into the pizza shop where he turns out to be a delivery driver. So I was very upset because I almost got in an accident. And I called the police and I saw him get back in the car with pizzas going to further deliver, about his day. So I called the police and I informed them of what he was doing. I thought it was very dangerous, was very obvious what he was doing. So when I got home, I had posted on the neighborhood app, be on the lookout. There's a guy in the neighborhood who's trying to purposely cause an accident. He did it multiple times, and that's what he was doing. So after the post, I gave the description. It happened to be a young black male. I'm I'm a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So when I gave the description of his car and what he looked like, all I said was he was black and he was in his like 23 or whatnot. And I was amazed at the amount of people that happen to be black that called me a Karen, a racist, and then eventually somebody reported, and I'm pretty sure it was this lady who got mad at me because they said by me bringing up his race could cause stereotypes to happen. So I explained to them it wouldn't matter what color he was. When I was behind him and wanted to see who he was, I wasn't thinking, oh, I know he's black. It didn't matter if he was white, Chinese, or whatever. He was out there playing dangerous games that could potentially hurt somebody, my family, or people in their surrounding neighborhood. And I
Mm-hmm.
just thought people might want to know. Most people did want to know, but it was just strange to me. The black people, not all of the black people, but the ones that were the most critical were upset that I had mentioned that he was black. And I just didn't understand why, because that was the truth, you
Yeah.
know? So I was like, after that, somebody reported my post. It was taken down. I've been blocked out of neighborhood app for just stating the facts and just mentioning that he was a young black male. And I just thought,
Wow.
wow, that's that's crazy. Where it could have been, this might have been somebody who, hey, I seen the post, and let me be a little careful because I gave a description of the car as well. I don't know what
Yeah.
happened. I didn't, follow up with the police or anything. But like I said, it was very dark. He was intentionally doing it because he was coming to a dead stop down the hill, and he, like I said, he did it multiple times. Just very dangerous. And I thought it was even more dangerous because that's what he did for a living. He was a driver.
Yeah.
So
He
I'm
was probably
imagining
trying to get
how
out
many
of
people.
work and go put a brace around his neck.
Exactly. So and but it was just so crazy to me that somebody actually reported my post and had it taken down, and it was for racial profiling was the reason. So, I mean, I didn't get to
Yeah.
share that story.
Yeah.
That I just don't know why it hurt. The truth hurts people so much. Maybe because they feel it's a reflection on them. I don't know, but I just know that a lot of times we feel some kind of way when we feel like white people or unjustly stereotyping us or whatnot. But how is it beneficial if we have from the truth, if it happens to be a person of color? Like, how is that helping as well? So that's kind of like an epiphany
Mm.
or kind of turmoil that's been going on my head for the last week, because here I am trying to think I'm warming people, and there's other people just because of a person's certain color, they don't want to hear it if they're that certain
Yeah.
color,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And that is very interesting and strange as well, which speaks directly to the topic of tonight, which is why are we so, why do we have problems with the truth? Why do we have problems with reporting the truth? And you know what? I can understand if, if they say, oh, well, Trayvon Martin had, whatever the case may be, or
Mhm.
somebody who was involved as a victim of a completely unrelated benign crime, right?
Mhm.
But going
Mhm.
into a drug town with long drug rap sheets run by a drug cartel, I feel that the information is relevant. And I'm curious too as to
Mhm.
why people were so upset with the revelation of the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely know. And I had this discussion with my coworker when we were just talking about it the other day, and he was like, "Oh, it's two women and two men," and I was like, "No, it was one woman and three men." And he kept on arguing with me. Then he looked it up and was like, "Oh, that's a man, not a woman." He thought like that Shaeed was a woman, and I was like, "No, that's a man's name." And he was made the comment like, "That's strange. That's not something that you see. Usually, it's a couple and a couple going, especially for something like that." And somebody else brought up like, yeah, you never really hear uh, black men being all involved in doctor care and whatnot. So three
Mm,
black men accompany one woman for a cosmetic surgery. That
yeah.
just seems like a little fishy. Like like it seems like there might have been some ulterior motives. Who knows?
I mean, something does seem off about that, because she's getting a major procedure of which she's going to be incapacitated for 2 to 6 weeks and have to stay in Mexico for 2 to 6 weeks. There are a lot of questions, and I'm curious as to why people don't want to ask the questions. There's someone in the comments named MG. MG, call in. Can you prove what it is? Can you prove that you know what they were going there for? With certainty, please call us in with the evidence that you have, because I showed the evidence that I had of a long-standing criminal record on each of them, right? So show us the evidence that you have. Give us the doctor's office name that she was going to. Give us that information since you know for sure what they were going there for. All right. Well, thank you, Tiffany, so much for
Oh,
calling in
One
and adding
one
your
more
point of
thing for
view.
you. One more one more thing, Tonya, to ask you a question. Did you hear
Sure.
about the other lady who said she didn't make it? Who said they dropped her off in Texas? Who was also with them?
Yeah, she was at the border, didn't come through. Yeah, what's the
Yeah, they
reason
said
that
that
you mentioned that?
they were supposed to come. The men were supposed to come right back. She said, and she said that they had only booked a hotel room for one day. So that was odd as well. So I don't know if you can go
Oh,
more into
really?
that,
Where are
but
you seeing that
yeah,
information? Let me I need to verify
it
that
was.
information.
She had an interview. It was online with somebody, but she had an interview with a reputable person. I can't find it, but look for the I don't know how you would look it up. Maybe the
Look
other
through your
females.
history. Where did you see this at? Did you see it on one of these apps? Look through your history
Mm.
in your mail and send me this link.
I mean, if I can't find it, but it might have been TikTok. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, during the day, so
Well, you
it
know
might
what?
be either one. But
TikTok has a history feature where you can see
yeah,
your comment and view history.
okay. Well, let me look, and if I do, I will send it on through to your website.
All right, perfect. And just send me a comment on Apple once you've sent it so that I can go check because I'm curious as to
Okay.
why they had only booked. There's a lot of questions. So thank you so much, Tiffany. I appreciate that.
Mhm. You're welcome. You have a great night.
All right, yeah. So there's a few different things. Number one, they drove across the border. People who have gone into Mexico to get procedures done, they stay at a resort, and the doctor, because it's so dangerous in Mexico and because, the FBI says that they target people with American plates, the doctor's office schedules a van to bring you across the border and straight to the resort or the doctor's office, depending on whether you're getting your consultation first or if you're going to settle in first and then get your consultation. But you don't drive across. So there's a lot of questions. What is the matter with, so they're saying it's on Anderson Cooper. All right, let me take a look. Where is saying why? So listen, MG, this is MG and Suzanne. The telephone number is across the screen right here. Call in 323-488-3149. I want to hear from a person who believes that the information is not relevant, that feels that it's disrespectful to ask questions. So let me look up Anderson Cooper. Let's see. Anderson Cooper, 4 kidnapped Americans. Let's see. Let's see what we have. All right. Friends of Americans kidnapped in Mexico recounts. All right. Here we go.
Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so sorry it's under these circumstances. How are you doing right now?
It's hard. I'm trying one day at a time. It's a lot to process.
So you were the first to actually alert authorities in Brownsville about that your friends were missing or hadn't made it back. Can you let's just start by telling us about why you and your friends were planning to go to Mexico?
Latavia is my best friend.
I'm sorry. Does she have meth mouth? I'm curious because this whole teeth situation that's going on, I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna mind my business right now and just play because you all think that I'm being harsh or whatnot.
She hit me up and asked me to join her, to accompany her in a trip to Brownsville, Texas for cosmetic surgery.
And
we began the road trip. We left out on Thursday and traveled to Texas. Once I got there, I was then informed that her procedure was being done across the border. In that event, we were just arriving in Brownsville, Texas at Studio 6, and I didn't have proper identification, so I couldn't join her to go across to the border, which left me back at the hotel.
so because you didn't know
you
didn't know you'd be going out of the country, you didn't know you'd be going to Mexico, you didn't bring ID with you. Did you travel with her and the others to Brownsville, or did you meet them there?
No, we all traveled together. Okay. It was a road trip.
So you
could listen. You could blow smoke up my ass, but you ain't gonna call me a balloon, right? You could blow smoke up my ass, but you ain't gonna sit here and call me a balloon. Listen. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So did you have any idea about threats down in Matamoros or what it was like across the border?
So she was going with her friend to get a cosmetic procedure and didn't know that they were going into Mexico. She thought they were going to Texas. Her friend didn't tell her. See, this is what I'm saying. This is unbelievable.
Or did Latavia?
No, sir, not at all.
Hold on, let me
Not
find out
to
her
my
name.
knowledge. I'm not.
Let me find out her name real quick, and then we're gonna take a commercial break. Her name is Cheryl Orange. All right. When we take a commercial break, I'm going to see if I can buy a. I'm not gonna say nothing. Let me just play the video. You all are not understanding. You are not feeling what I'm saying.
I'm assuming that she didn't know because I know her. Like, she's not gonna travel to danger.
Did you actually try to cross the border with them and were turned away, or did you just realize before even trying that you didn't have ID?
No, she told me that when I told her I didn't have my ID with me, they dropped me off at the hotel and said that they would return in 15 minutes. That's why I was so worried and in fear, because it didn't seem right. 15 minutes had gone by, they were not there.
So how long did you wait after 15 minutes? I mean, it must have been agonizing.
When they dropped me off at the hotel, I had got into the shower. I showered and I laid on the bed. I think I was exhausted from, the long hours, the long ride. So I ended up falling asleep. I woke up and it was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So from 9 to 5, I went down to the office, the clerk in the hotel, and I asked him, had my friends come back or attempted to, come.
Let me go to a quick commercial break real quick because I need to pay for this background check behind the scenes. This is what look, listen, let me do what I need to do because you all playing games, but like I said, don't blow smoke up my ass and then try to call me a balloon. So let's jump to a quick commercial break, and hopefully the sound is back working now. Are you tired of missing Tonya TKO's live videos? Arriving late when the video is well underway or about to end? Are you fatigued of only seeing a live video randomly while perusing YouTube and Facebook? Or worse, randomly unsubscribed? Well, now you can get a text notification whenever I go live. No longer are we dependent on the algorithm of these fickle platforms. For just $1.99 a month US and Canada or $4.99 a month international, you get a personalized text message 15 minutes before each live show. Now, you can show up early with the Tech Squad, meet other people from all over the world, and get invited to secret broadcasts off-platform. Most importantly, support your favorite independent creator. Go to TonyaTKO.com and click on text. Join the TKO Tech Squad today. For just $1.99 a month US and Canada, or $22 a year if you pay in advance, $4.99 a month international, $50 a year if you pay in advance, you'll never again be tardy to the party. I'll see you on the next broadcast. TonyaTKO.com/text. Are you tired of Listen, you know what? Let me tell you something. Listen. When y'all ain't ready. Let me tell you something. There is a common theme among all these people. Now, this young lady right here, right? This young lady right here, right? So, listen, I don't know if you all even want me to tell you because you all are just going to say, what difference does it make? So I ain't going to say nothing. I'm just going to open back up the phone lines. We could listen to some more of this. Let me check the apples and... All right, listen. Is is anybody listen, listen. Nameless says, I was told I was victim blaming. Somebody says pull the record. I pulled it. 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 So phone lines are open 323-488-3149. I'm going to check the apples in just a moment. Look, and we'll listen to some more of that. Listen, http www.cash.app/$ Tonya TKO. You could go ahead and send through an apple. I don't know if you all really want to know. Y'all don't want to know. Y'all don't want to know. There was someone who wanted to call. Suzanne, was it? MG, was it? Or someone wanted to call? Listen. Listen. Oh, the phone ringing. I've been saved by the bell. Let's grab it. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I just want to make sure, can you hear me?
What's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, my name is Veronica. I'm calling from New York. I just wanted to make sure you could hear me
Okay, yes. So Veronica from New York, you're on the air live. So talk to us. What's your comment?
Hi. Well, my thoughts are with regards to the.
Oh, your sound has gone out. Veronica, we can no longer hear you. Your sound is gone. Oh man, the phone dropped. Doggone it. Well, the phone lines are open. Veronica, you can try back. There's somebody else who was calling. So listen, there's a lot going on here. So she was going to go get a tummy tuck within 15 minutes and then come back. That's the story. Listen. So she was waiting at the hotel for 15 minutes. This is the story that they're putting on national news. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Let me see. I don't know what is going on. Veronica?
Yes.
All right, you're back on the air, my dear. Talk to us.
Okay. Okay. I guess the only I guess comment that I have on why I guess black people, why we have an issue with their past being brought up amidst such a tragedy happening. I think the general consensus amongst us black folks generally when things like that happen is um, white folks are going to drag us anyway. So why do we have to help? And I think maybe that's where the mindset's coming from. They're like, we're going to get dragged either way. Everybody knows they were going to get their backgrounds pulled. Everybody knows every news source was going to have them on mainstream with their rap sheets plastered. Why do we have to add on to the pylon? I think that's where the
Are
impulse
you
is
speaking
coming
for
from.
yourself, Veronica?
Me, I am not per se. I have no problem with accountability whatsoever. And if maybe, unfortunately, sometimes a person's past or their pattern behavior can sometimes dictate what's happening in the present, or there being some sort of source to why things are happening now that's really confusing. So I can't necessarily disagree with people when they were like, all of them have pretty salacious pasts. It's easy to assume that there may have been something salacious going on across the border, more than just a tummy tuck. And this interview with Anderson Cooper is not really helping. So I am not necessarily one of those people because I hold everybody accountable when something I am one of those people who will dig into somebody's past. I don't care who you are. I will just take the information as it comes. I am somebody who loves information. So anything that I can receive on the story to help me better understand or better assess or deduce what went on, um, I don't see how that's hurtful. And also, if this was something like some sort of a drug run gone wrong, it might be important for us to know that, because that can also, if this wasn't a medical tourism tragedy and instead was a drug run tragedy or alleged drug run tragedy instead, then all that's going to do is just switch the spotlight to another problem that we're having with that border.
Mm.
So that's just how I feel. Call me, and people might call me a traitor and everything like that, but that's just how I feel. I am not going to reject this information. And as a discerning human being and adult, I I want as much information as possible to figure out what happened, because lots of people go to Matamoros for different reasons, and not everybody gets caught up in these kinds of situations. Mexico is terrified right now. They're worried about their tourism being affected, and Americans are afraid to go there. So, the more that we know about this situation, so if it turns out that it was something salacious or something sketchy that was going on, then maybe the actual tourists who want to see the adobe construction, then be like, oh, well, all we have to do is just not be going there for a key and we'll be fine.
Mm.
You know, all we
Yeah.
have to do is just leave the U.S. plates off our car, do research on the region before we go there, check in with the embassy. Why they did not check in with the embassy is beyond me. I know I don't do like as much traveling as I like, but one of the tips that I always receive from black women who like to travel and go to different countries is always check in with the local U.S. embassy at any country that you're going to, because if anything goes down, you want somebody who's on your side to know where you are in order to get you the heck out of there. So there were a lot of precautions that could have been taken
Yeah.
in this scenario, and I originally thought that that's where the story ended, that
Yeah.
they
Hold
went
on for
down
just
there.
one moment. Let me grab this call and put them on hold. You're in the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yes, my name is Deborah. I'm calling from New Jersey.
All right, Deborah, hold on for just one moment, okay?
Thank you.
Hi, Veronica.
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna let you wrap up and then I'm gonna grab the next
Yeah.
call.
That's really all I had to say. It first red flagged me that so many adults were traveling to kind of a really dicey part of Mexico and not doing their due diligence in terms of protection. Maybe hindsight's 2020. Maybe those pings that were confusing me. Maybe it's making a little bit more sense now. But I'm just going to keep watching, sipping slow. But
All
thank you for
right.
bringing me on, Tanya. I love your show, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your evening.
You too.
All right.
And I am black.
Hello? All of that in my ear?
I'm
Really? What did
sorry.
I do to you that
I
you have to scream that right
no,
into my eardrum? I got this thing pushed right into my thing, and here you go.
I'm so sorry, love.
Yeah,
Your
I
your
guess you
your
want to
live chat
show
is
just
is.
how black you are, right?
But I'm just gonna keep
All
watching.
right, Deborah.
I'm here. Yeah,
All
hi.
right. You said Deborah from New Jersey?
Yes. Mhm.
All right. I need you to turn down the TV or whatnot in the background
I
so that
am
we can
black.
Yeah. Okay.
talk. All right.
Mhm.
All right. So talk to me. What's your comment this evening?
Okay. The yesterday I noticed that you had read the I don't know, was it an article or what
Mm-hmm.
or a newspaper clipping or something, and it
Yeah.
listed all of the criminal activity that these people who were
It
killed and
didn't
had
it
been
didn't
attacked
list
in
all. It
Mexico.
only listed some, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. It seemed like I saw like four different pictures, at least maybe three or
Yeah.
four pictures.
Yeah.
But anyway, it listed a lot of the criminal. It was very detailed. I was very surprised at how much detail that they had. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is that what I have with this kind of stuff, that it's done mainly to black people. Whenever we are victimized, on whatever level we're victimized, and they were victims in this case, no matter what their background was, they were victims of this attack for whatever reason, then they come in and the media comes in and tries to find everything that we've ever done and portray it in a negative light. They did the same thing to George Floyd, which is one of the most recent and one of the biggest cases. We all saw the cop, on his neck for 8.5 minutes or whatever it was, 9.5 minutes, and contributed, definitely caused his death. But they brought out all his background, anything they could find that was negative on him, and that's the problem. And they love to define black people. They love to take our weakest links and define all black people. And I'm saying this as a 70-year-old woman who's lived all her life in America. I've lived through the civil rights era. I lived through all the black power and all of that, all those eras where a lot of people on here may not have. So I've seen it up close and personal. And that's the problem that I have with it, where when somebody white, one of these serial killers does something, you don't hear of all the stuff they may have done during their lifetime. You may hear what immediately may have preceded, or they'll try to portray them in some kind of sympathetic light. Oh, he didn't have his father in the house, or his mother, they were divorced, or somebody beat him or something. They'll have that, okay, on their record, but they won't portray them like they portray black people. And either way, these people didn't sound like they were angels to me either, okay? But the point is, white America, like the caller just before me said, they're going to drag us anyway. So what we need to do is look at it in the light of the racist sentiment that exists in this country, okay? And the whole thing of the false doctrine of white supremacy, and look at it from that viewpoint, because whatever crimes they committed, I'm sure they may have or probably were adjudicated through the court system. A lot of things seemed like they had done prison time, or they had been caught up for this or that. And even with our black children, when our black children do things that children do, they're always magnified, and they're always put up to the forefront. And like we have no right to expect humane treatment when something happens to us and we are truly victimized. Now, I don't believe that they deserve this. I don't know if I don't see why 4 or 5 people had to go for this girl to get a tummy tuck. So no, it could have been something else behind it.
You mean the 15-minute tummy tuck where they were supposed to run across the border for 15 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know whether if she's crazy if she get a tummy tuck in 15 minutes. That's a little weird right there.
I'm sorry,
but the whole
Deborah,
idea of them going.
Let's listen. You've been talking for 5 minutes, so let me just interject right here.
Okay.
Right? Okay. I hear exactly what it is that you're saying, right? And like you said, you've lived a long time, and you've lived through the civil rights era, et cetera, et cetera. And we do have media in this country that comes from a slant and bias, right? We're conflating a lot of different issues here. The situation with George Floyd, and I did hear some people talking about things that he'd done in his past, right? Which was not the reason for why he had a knee on his neck. However, the truth of a person's background matters. It matters. It matters to show patterns. It matters to show who this individual was, how they may have been conducting themselves at the time of the incident, what it is that they may have been doing. You're calling them victims, right? And you're talking about some things that are very, very peculiar. 3 men with former drug related arrests and criminality, right? 1 woman, an additional woman whose background I just pulled, right? Going down to Mexico, not telling the wives and partners that they were going to Mexico allegedly for 2 weeks. 2 to 6 weeks, right? And then the woman who is now talking about being left across the border, saying they said they were going to come back in 15 minutes. So we're calling them victims and saying that they did not deserve what happened, et cetera, et cetera. We don't know what it is that they deserve. You playing around with drugs and dealing with the cartel and all this other stuff, you're playing a dangerous game if that's the game that you're playing. It's a dangerous game. And so
it is definitely a dangerous game. It is definitely a dangerous game.
For us,
but the cartel has now sent an apology. Did you see that? The
Listen,
cartel, which I
hello,
thought was
ma'am.
really
Hello, ma'am.
crazy,
Listen. I'm going to let you know the expectation, right?
they sent an apology.
Listen. The expectation. This is for you and when for anybody who calls in, right? I have a duty to guide the direction of the show, right? I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to talk and I'm going to interject, but when I begin to speak, I need you to stop speaking. That's understandable, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you're talking about this letter that the cartel allegedly sent. I showed that letter, this handwritten letter that was allegedly written by an organized crime syndicate. And so there's a lot of things that are going on. Goodness knows who wrote that letter and for what reason. Goodness knows who
Hmm.
who were the guys who were offered up as a sacrifice. Goodness knows. It's like before we jump to any conclusion, let's look at the totality of information that we're receiving. The friend that was there said that they were going to run across the border and come back within 15 minutes. Does that make sense to you for a cosmetic procedure? Does it?
No, it doesn't. No.
Okay. All right. So I just want us, and you know what? And so this is the thing, right? In all fairness, we do have a media that is slanted and biased towards whiteness and white supremacy, right? The next time that there is somebody white that we cover on this show, just let me know and I will pay for the background check. It's as simple as that. Let me know and then we can report what their background is here. Because if nobody, and then you're saying that the media is going to talk about it. I haven't seen any news outlets, any TV talking about their criminal background. I haven't. And I feel that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to, I feel that the longer that this spins, that the worse it's going to get when it is actually revealed. So, in your turn, Deborah.
Okay, well, I believe it's going to come out. It may not have come out yet, but I believe their background is going to probably be exposed or whatever, and then the media exploits it. But my point is that it's not done across the board. If it was done across the board to blacks as well as whites, to whites as well as blacks, I could see, okay, but they drag us, and everybody else is almost damn near angelic, okay? Just like, what's his name, Kyle Rittenhouse. Oh, he's still,
Right. So this is the thing, right? And I understand exactly what it is that you're saying, but you have to look at the larger picture. What is your expectation of media run by people who have a bias? I mean, this is the bias that they have. What can we expect anything different from the biased media? The only thing that we can do is task black media and other outlets to be able to make it equal. We cannot sit here crying about how unfair it is that that uh that these people are saying this stuff. Why cry about that? Hold on, I'm gonna grab this call and then I'm gonna come right back.
Okay.
You're in the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Sammy, and I'm calling from Kansas City.
All right, Tammy from Kansas City. Hold on for just one
Oh,
moment.
I'm
When
so
when I come back, I just need you to turn down the TV in the background. I'm going to be right back. Just one moment.
yes.
All right, Deborah. So I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you wrap. But my last and final statement on this is the only thing that we can do is we can ask black media, independent media, to report on the criminal background and those types of things of white assailants. However, we can't really expect much different from biased media. This is why it's so important to support independent media like mine. You can send your apples through. It's right here. I know you all want to hear what's in her background check, but these background checks cost money. Send these apples through.
Oh, I
Send
believe
them.
it.
Send them through. So nonetheless, Deborah, your final statements, and then I'm going to grab the next call.
Yeah, okay. No, I get your point exactly, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. But I also have to see the fuller picture and like I said, coming from an older American black woman's perspective, that, like Chris Rock just said in his last special I just watched the other day, don't fight in front of white people, okay, because they already are going to do it all for us. We don't have to expose it. They will. They definitely will. But I do think it's important to look at the whole picture, especially in a case like this, And I just don't want that to go across the board where we don't see that there's such a differential treatment between black and white and within the media. But I do understand your point. Thank you for talking with me, Tonya.
Well, I have one last thing to say since you brought up Chris Rock. Chris Rock is the last person that we need to quote. I saw Chris Rock sit on a panel with white men calling him nigger, using the N-word in front of him. And referencing him in that way. So Chris Rock has some deeply, deeply troubled issues inside of him. And I'm going to say this too, Deborah, there were a lot of things that your generation got wrong. And one of those things is sitting by expecting for people who have shown you who it is that they are to be different, and complaining about them being exactly who it is that they have shown themselves to be. It's like, what else can we expect of people who have shown themselves to be that way? The only thing that we can do now is really create first of all, who are white people? Who are they? To act as if they have some higher moral ground. Chris Rock didn't do anything because he's a coward and he was probably shocked and he knew that he could not beat Will. Chris Rock is a raging misogynist with misogynoirist points of views, and I heard that his comedy special was a boondoggle for the ages. That's what I heard. So to quote him, a man with very, very, very disturbing views about Black women and this worship of white people, I heard Chris Rock talking about how he couldn't wait to get him a white girl. And when he had a Black one, he wanted a white one. So no, Chris Rock's name does not deserve to be uttered on this broadcast. And the mere fact that you mentioned him as if he's some authority figure of sense makes me feel that there's some things that you need to look internally at and try to rewrite, because there were a lot of things that your generation got wrong, and not eradicating misogynoirist for what it was and really exposing Black men for who they were in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and beyond has gotten us into a situation where now we have to clean up the messes that the generation of the past did not. So that's my spiel on that.
Okay. Well, I just want to say this. I was on the other end of it. I was on the militant end of things. Okay, I mean, I lived through it, but that wasn't necessarily the end that I totally agreed with. And as far as me quoting Chris Rock, I just said that because that was the general attitude that I grew up with, that I saw, like you don't display certain behaviors in front of them. That's all I meant. No, me and Chris Rock, I'm not on the same page with him.
And that was one of the things that your generation,
that's all.
That was one of the things that your generation got wrong. That you have to behave some sort of way in front of white people. Who are white people, especially in this country? They don't have the moral high ground. And the fact that we're tiptoeing and dancing around white sensitivities is how we got into the situation that we're in today. So thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate your contribution to the broadcast. Jump back in the comments and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for holding. I apologize. I forgot your name and where you were calling from. Please remind us.
Hi, my name is Tammy, and I'm calling from Kansas City.
All right. Tammy from Kansas City in the house. All right. Talk to us. What is your comment this evening?
Well, honestly, I feel like because I literally just had a completely different conversation that resulted
Are we on
in
speakerphone? Because there's a little bit of an echo.
Oh, yes. Is that better?
Please talk now.
Okay. So I personally feel like people don't want to see behind that curtain, because then they'd have to begin holding people accountable. And I feel like in the Black community, we want to, it's not even a race thing, because I think it's silly to bring up white supremacy, because it's our job to hold us accountable for the things that we do in our community, regardless of whether or not white people are going to shame us for the crimes that we create, or the crimes that we commit, rather. We still have to hold each other accountable. But the fact that people don't want to look at what we see, it doesn't make sense to make a 15-minute run across the border, right? But, and even outside of just this situation, many situations, we don't want to actually see what it is that we are seeing, because we don't want the responsibility of holding that person accountable.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel you on that. And I think that we have been so beleaguered as a people, especially there's two different things with worshiping white people and worshiping Black men, and the anger and animosity that we have towards Black women. So there are multiple layers going on here, where we feel that Black men have been so beleaguered by the white system. This is part of the reason that there were people who were supporting R. Kelly. They even talked about this in the Fleeing R. Kelly or Surviving Him documentary, how people are like, oh, the Black man has been so downtrodden. I don't want to be just another force, oppressing him or getting him in trouble or whatnot. And so they never get called out. So they don't get called out on their stuff to the degree that they need to be called out. Like, we need to be demanding of Black men to make these Black neighborhoods safe. We need to be demanding of them to make sure that we have a food supply and food chain supply, and that we are in control of some sort of farming or something. We need to be making demands of Black men, and we're not. We're just sitting here in dangerous neighborhoods accepting the status quo.
I absolutely agree with you. You said R. Kelly, and that was literally the conversation that I had that made me want to call in. I was speaking with someone who was like, well, regardless about what he does in his free time or whatever, we still like his music. I'm like, but the example I gave was to just switch it around. The issue is you want to look past these things so that you don't have to hold him accountable for the things that he's actually doing. And I think it's a very selfish and self-centered way to go about it. And we do that so much in the Black community. One, because we're afraid of holding each other accountable, both men and women. And also just because it's easy. It's easy for us. We still get what we want. We still get like, oh, okay, they're victims, and they don't, because we don't have to do the work to change our own perspective. If we see, if we pretend to ignore the signs and, the history and all the things that we actually see.
Yeah.
I think it's a very selfish standpoint that a lot of us come to a lot of situations with. You don't want to see the truth because you're afraid of the responsibility and to just hold people accountable, and you don't want to change your own personal belief system or what it is that you think, what it is that you feel in that moment.
Yeah, you know what? Let me pause you on that moment, because somebody wrote, Petty Gree says, I get sick of these Black thugs. So then he says garden tools and criminals. So now there's some misogynistic verbiage in there. We don't call women misogynistic slurs on this page, but nonetheless, I will say this, right? Why is it that good Black people have such a hard time separating ourselves from Black people who are doing the wrong things, Black people who are lowering our total social credit score? Why is it that we have a problem? Like, we're always talking about how good cops don't call out these bad cops. Why is it that, quote unquote, good Black people are not full-throatedly, definitively standing up against the Black people who are participating and have long history of One of the men was a violent woman beater. He took a a telephone cord and wrapped it around a woman's throat, causing permanent damage to her as he cut off her air supply. One of the men from that trip. I talked about it in yesterday's video and showed his image. But we're going to sit here talking about how, these people are victims. That man should have had a cord around his neck a long time ago. Excuse me for saying it out loud, but this is how I truly feel. People who harm women and children, I got nothing for you. You cannot come to me for sympathy. You cannot. You cannot, because that cord should have been around his throat. Ugh. Nonetheless.
You
just
spoke a
worked
word.
myself up.
Honestly, there's a huge issue with that. I don't know why people, maybe they're afraid to be othered. The person I was speaking to, who brought up the R. Kelly situation and didn't want to see past his atrocities, I was trying to ask questions to get, a little behind that, like trying to figure out the rationale. Why are you so afraid of holding them accountable? Is it because nobody else is doing that?
You know what? Forget
And maybe that's something we should look at.
Don't negotiate with terrorists. The next time a black man says that to you, just tell him, this is why I don't march. This is why when the police put knees on your necks, I just stay quiet in the same way that you're staying quiet when these men harm these girls. Just say that to them and just leave the conversation and leave it at that. Because standing there trying to, why is it that it's like standing up there asking why these white people made that country song, Big Bad Jim Brown, or whatever the name was of that guy who was in St. Louis that got murdered stealing some Swisher or whatnot. They made some song, Big Bad Sheriff Brown came to town and shot old this and that down. They made some country western song about that, and they were singing. It's like coming to them, why do you think that this song is appropriate? F that. The fact that they are supporting and singing the song lets you know their mindset anyway. Why are you negotiating with terrorists? F that. Just say that's why you don't march. I saw a person who was posting on Instagram about how he's still gonna listen to R. Kelly's song. I was like, this is why I don't march. That was the last mother effing time that he ever said that shit publicly. That was the last time. Then he started sending me videos of him advocating for black women. But by then, I'd already knew what his natural disposition was. Sorry, not sorry. I was like, this is why I don't march. This is why I stay home. This is why I won't speak up for black men who are getting unalived. I said this to him. And then he was like, oh, this, that, and the other. And I was just like, whatever. Nonetheless, thank you so much, Tammy, for calling in. We appreciate your point of view.
Thank you. I love your show. Have a great night.
You too. All right, let's go ahead and check these apples real quick. Let's get it. All right. Let's see. JJ says, here is fire, love. Thank you. Shawnee sends $5 and says, that doctor is not going to show their face. Exactly. What doctor? What doctor was she going to get a tummy tuck from in 15 minutes? What doctor? Tiffany sends $10 and says, send story to your email. Thank you. I'm going to go grab that. Tynesha sends $2 and says, people watching because you do your thing. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Paulina sends $5 and says, where there's smoke, there's fire. If you look, you said it right there. It's like the people are ignoring all the smoke. That background info, please. Okay, listen. Let's see. Thank you. Umaima sends $5 and says, there's too many different stories. I'm glad you see. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to go check that thing and then see. All right. Shawnee sends $2 and says, play the disclaimer.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed by guests and callers are those of the individual guest or caller and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Tonya TKO, the Tonya TKO Show and or its affiliates. For more information, visit TonyaTKO.com.
I know that's right. Thank you. Thank you. I got to remember. All right. Chill Vibe says background. Okay. So I see you all want to see what was in that background, right? JJ says 15-minute run sounds like drop off or pick up to me. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Why are people not paying attention? It's like if we cannot denounce and really call for equity and denouncing the bad behaviors of people that look like us, then what can we do? What can we do? All right. So it looks like I got all of the apples right there. If you want to send them through, listen, let me get a few more and then I'll read the background check. Well, we can finish up this news story right here because they were still talking. She was talking about how they were going to run across for 15 minutes and then come back. And when they didn't come back in 15 minutes, she knew something was wrong. This is what I'm saying. He ain't tell his wife that he was going. She was waiting there for 15 minutes. She didn't even know they were going over to Mexico. What it sounds like to me is that the pickup or drop spot changed and they had to go across to be able to finish the pickup or the drop.
Come in and out the hotel.
D is saying you need to be careful before you get sued. Sued by who? For what? What am I going to get sued for? What? Tell me. Tell me, what is the law that I am breaking?
Come back to the hotel. And he told me no.
Hold on.
So I called my boyfriend.
Hold on.
So I ended up falling asleep. I woke up.
Hold on. Let's go back to the
and
15
it was
minutes.
Fear because it didn't seem right. 15 minutes had gone by. They were not there.
So how long did you wait after 15 minutes? I mean, it must have been agonizing.
When they dropped me off at the hotel, I had got into the shower. I showered and I laid on the bed. I think I was exhausted from, the long hours, the long ride. So I ended up falling asleep. I woke up and it was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So from 9 to 5, I went down to the office, the clerk in the hotel, and I asked him, had my friends come back or attempted to, come in and out the hotel, come back to the hotel. And he told me no. So I called my boyfriend, I called Tay's brother, and I said, something's not right. And I text my roommate. I said, something's not right. 9 o'clock got here, 12 o'clock got here, midnight. And then now we're into Saturday morning at 10:23. It's literally a few minutes before checkout. I'm like, there's no way. I called the cops immediately.
And I know you had their luggage, you had their things. Is that right?
I had 3 of the 3 male victims' belongings. I retrieved it after it became 11 o'clock.
At what point did you learn about what had actually happened? When did you see the video?
They sent it to me, I think, it had to be like between Saturday night and Sunday morning, like the wee hours.
What did you think when you saw that? I mean,
I dropped the phone. My body clenched up. I dropped the phone. My stomach was in knots. And I just began praying. I just began praying for the return of them. I didn't know much about the cartels, and I started looking up videos, and it was bad. It was bad. I began to think the worst, and just thank God for her daughter, her 18-year-old daughter, Tay's daughter. She held me together. She held me together. She made me keep the faith.
Have you talked to her since? How have you been able to talk to Latavia? Have you talked to her daughter? How is she doing?
Yeah, me and her daughter speak every so many minutes. And yes, I have spoken to Tay. It put me at ease a little bit. It was music to my ears to hear her voice.
What do you want people to know about Latavia and the others, about your friends?
It fell again. I want the world to leave us alone and stop being mean. I want them to have a heart, because everyone has a past. What happened to her wasn't right. She didn't deserve it. She's a beautiful person. When I spoke to Latavia yesterday, she said, thank you. She told me thank you and said she was worried about her. This lady was facing death damn near. And she said, I was worried about you.
She said she was worried about you.
I love her. She's the best. Right?
Wow.
She's a beautiful person.
Well, Cheryl, I'm so sorry for what you and your friends have gone through, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and I wish you the best. I hope you get to see her soon.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
At least
So
two people have died as.
So there's that, right? So there's that. Okay, so Tiffany, I'm looking inside of my email, the email from my website. I don't see the mail that you sent me. I don't see it. So if you go to tonyatko.com and click on contact, there's the area right there to be able to send it, but I don't see anything from you there. So I'm not sure where you sent it. But yeah, so what we're going to do is I'm going to open back up the phone lines. 323-488-3149. 323-488-3149. So the expectation was that they were going to be back. So what she said was she had the luggage for the three guys. She didn't have the luggage for Latavia. So was Latavia planning on staying, right? Maybe Latavia was planning on staying, but the three guys had their luggage back across the border. But then she didn't know that Latavia was going to stay there for the tummy tuck. She wasn't going to be there to help nurse her friend back to health. You know what I mean? So who knows? Who knows what is going on? Who knows? Who knows? See, Croctown says we all make mistakes. Maybe this was their wake-up call. So you mean the multiple arrests in the past, that those weren't the wake-up calls? They're getting busted over and over and over and over again. Those weren't the wake-up calls. This was. Two of them not coming back from this. I mean, it seemed as come on, what are we talking about? And somebody is and Where is saying that they agree? Okay. Well, you know what? Please let it be a lot less for you to wake up. Please let it be a lot less. Please. So nonetheless, the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. We are taking calls live on air. And so now Tasha is saying, stop lying, Woman Neil. In a comment you made earlier, you asked, why is Tonya a black blonde? Kindest person my ass. Girl, what are y'all arguing about? So there's somebody over there talking about my hair. Isn't it fantastic? Look at it. Isn't my hair fantastic? The color is amazing. It's not easy to get this color. Not easy. Only certain people can get this color, the process. So yeah. Let's see. I'm looking. I don't see the thing. Hold on. I'm looking, Tiffany. And the phone lines are open, 323-488-3149. No one else has anything else that they need to say? All right, well, then I'll check the apples and see what you all have to say here. All right. Ultimate Enigma sends 133 and says, patterns speak volumes. Common thread? Absolutely. Jax says, speak those facts, Tonya. First apple. Absolutely. So welcome. Thank you for the first apple. Yeah. So you know what? Since we're not going to be on here much longer, I'll leave the phone lines open. But I'll tell you all what the background check says. We have brought in $60 for this broadcast, so thank you. Oh, here comes a call. Here comes a call. You're on Air Live with Tonya. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Jalan, Indiana.
Hi, Jalan, Indiana. What is your comment this evening?
I think to be realistic about the whole situation, it does not make sense. And you don't go there for a 15-minute run, leave your buddy at the hotel, and then she's there overnight. You fall asleep when your friends tell you they're going to be back in 15 minutes and you fall asleep.
Well, I mean, I guess she was waiting there for so long. After the 15 minutes passed, they didn't come back. She took a shower and fell asleep. Hold on for just, let me grab this next call. Give me one moment, and I'm going to come
Okay.
right back. You're on the Air Live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
KB from Detroit. How you doing?
KB from Detroit. Okay, hold on for just one moment. I'm going to, we're still on the call with the other caller. Just a moment. All right, Jalan, please continue forward. I mean, who knows? Who knows? She was waiting the 15 minutes, but it seems like there's some other things going on in her life as well. So she could have been exhausted.
Yeah, it seems like there was a whole lot of stuff going on in all of their lives, to be honest, because you're going for a BBL in that area with 3 men in the car, and you're the only female, and the female that you needed to be there didn't bring her ID. You don't have an ID. You don't have a passport. How you going to go? No, it don't make sense. You going to go out of state without no ID? That makes no
Or
sense at all.
maybe it could have been that she was going for the tummy tuck. And when they realized that the girl didn't have the ID, the guys were like, okay, well, let's drive her to the doctor and then we'll come back across the border. But then who was going to be there when she woke up from the operation, the alleged operation? So, yeah, you're
Yeah, we
right.
keep
So
speaking
many
of
questions.
I'm sorry. We keep speaking about a doctor, but nobody said anything about the clinic she was going to, where the clinic was located, the name of the doctor, what time was her appointment, when was she getting the services done exactly, what was her recovery time, none of that. It's just not adding up, and everybody's got the same story, BBL.
Yeah, well,
I just need somebody to make it make sense, and then we're covering. You covering. They
well,
went down
well, it
there,
was
was
I've
doing stuff.
heard that it's a tummy tuck, not a BBL. So that's what I heard.
Okay, a tummy tuck. It's still a major surgery. It's still
Mm-hmm.
major,
Mm-hmm.
and something like that. You have to call family and say, hey, I made it to the doctor's office. I'm about to go through blase scoop. There's contact calls.
Yeah.
When you got in Mexico, there should have been a call. Hey, Mom, I'm here. I'm gonna
They did, according to
I'm at the
the
doctor's
very
office.
first video that we did, they made a call when they were just about to cross the border. And then that's the mother didn't hear back from them. I think it was one of the guy's mothers. She didn't hear back from him. And then that's when they started getting worried. But yeah. So listen, thank you so much for giving your point of view. I'm going to take the next call.
Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful
All
evening.
right.
I
You
love your
too.
show.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. You're in the air live with Tonya. Tell us your name and where you're calling from again.
Me from Detroit. How you doing?
You said KD from Detroit. All right. So welcome.
No,
Talk to
just
us. What?
just B.
Oh,
Yeah.
D. Okay. Okay. So what is your comment this evening, D?
When I first heard the story, you just really don't think nothing of it. But the more it came out, the more, all those people is like suspect because, who goes for plastic surgery with a bunch of men, and then the fact later on, all these rumors about, stories about their background and crime and drugs. You have to be Stevie Wonder not to believe that those people was into something nefarious when they went over there. They had some kind of plans or something that was underway. I just feel sorry for the girlfriend on Anderson Cooper.
Mm.
She evidently she had no idea. She wasn't a part of it.
Mm. Well,
And I think about because I think too much. That's my problem. But I wonder why our people be sitting around just making excuses and they just going along with it. It's because we don't like to take responsibility for the choices we make. We cover up the truth all the time. You got to take responsibility for your choices. Play stupid games. Get stupid prizes.
mm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
There's no way I'm going to sit up there and make excuses for these people. I mean, forgive me, Lord, if I'm wrong, because the investigation hasn't concluded. It
Yeah.
hasn't.
Hold on for
But I
just one
really
moment. Let me
strongly
grab the
feel.
next call and then I'm going to come right back to you. Just one moment.
Okay.
You're on the air live. I'm going to come right back to you. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is A.B. Shaw from New York.
All right. Hold on for just one moment. All right, D.
Yeah, they haven't concluded the investigation, but just something is wrong. And then I looked, please forgive me, but I looked at the picture, not the picture they handed to the media, but I looked at the videotape. I said, that don't look like a woman that's interested in plastic surgery. I really
I
had a
mean, but what
problem with
does a
their whole
person
thing.
who's interested in plastic surgery look like?
I would say very youthful a lot of times, or maybe super glamorous or something, diva type. Somebody who is really like interested into their physical appearance.
Oh,
Wow. She looked like somebody in my neighborhood or something. She didn't look like an Instagram model or anybody like that. She just looked like,
well, how
you
many
know,
people have you seen who have gotten plastic surgery in real life? How do you know what the look is? I mean, you know what Instagram people look like, but how familiar
well,
are you with the regular everyday people who get plastic surgery?
that's not an everyday person. You know what I'm saying? Who gets plastic surgery? That's usually the model type. And forgive me, anybody who thinks I'm stereotyping,
I
but
don't think you're qualified to make that type of statement because from what it is that I've read, over 1 million people travel to get these surgeries outside of the country every year from America. So
right.
a
Well,
great
none of us is
portion,
qualified for anything, Tanya. You know what I'm
listen.
saying? It's just an
Hello, you
opinion.
know what the expectation is. When I begin to speak, I need you to stop speaking.
Hmm.
All right. So there's a lot of people who are getting plastic surgery, a lot of everyday regular people, bus drivers and teachers and lunch ladies. There's a lot of people getting plastic surgery. They don't necessarily have a look. I think that because we associate plastic surgery with the IG models, but especially people who are going to these places to get cheap surgeries, you know, we
Hmm.
we don't know what those people are going to look a little different than the person who's going to Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? And then also there's a lot of people, a lot of regular people getting plastic surgery. You would be surprised if you knew.
Right.
All right. Well,
Well,
anyway,
like I
thank
said,
you so much for calling in. I'm going to take the next call, okay? Thank you.
good night.
All right. Okay. You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from? You said New York, and tell us your name again.
My name is A.B. Shaw.
Avisha.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Avisha. So what is your comment this evening?
My comment about the whole incident is, to be honest, we live in a time frame where a lot of things are made up. A lot of people lie and they make up a lot of incidents. And it's distracting. It's really distracting. Um, we really can't conclude what the situation was about that. I'm not saying that they were not into crime, but I'm not going to say that they were.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been anything. People are losing their lives. We live in a time frame where it could have been so much as those group. I mean, the group that went, they were setting up another person. They could have been setting that woman up. We have trafficking, organ harvesting, different things that's going on. People are losing their lives. And
That's true.
I feel like we get too distracted by vanity and accusations, and we kind of miss the broader aspect about what's going on, because the media and the law enforcement, everybody else is going to kind of back themselves up and protect themselves from, you know, backlash. So, like I said, if this is a bigger business than what we were being told, because obviously it's a bunch of inconsistencies throughout that whole thing that doesn't make sense. So when you see things that doesn't make sense, it's more than just, I could say that group lying about something. It's a lot of things we're hitting within that whole incident. I've never in my life ever heard of, the cartel apologizing like that. None of it made sense. It was really a story. It was made up.
Yeah,
And
this
I'm
whole
not saying
thing
the
is very
incident was made.
strange. Yeah, there's a lot about this that leaves a lot of questions left unanswered.
Right. Definitely. I'm just worried about the fact, like I said, I do feel like if it had been other nationalities, whether it was criminalistic or not, it would not. They wouldn't have painted the narrative about them like that in that aspect. So far as bringing up background, even though background does matter, but see, that's why it's important to watch the paper trail that you have behind yourself. Because see, if they weren't doing anything wrong, then you put yourself in a predicament, and now you're doing you're doing, we don't know what they were doing, but you think you're doing something just natural without causing yourself harm, and something happened to you, and now people don't know because they know what they see about you or what they think they know about you from the past. You get what I'm saying? I'll just be worried about the fact, like I said, it's too much going on. We kind of don't have the friends and the people, the associates that we think we have. Anything could have been going on with this. A lot of trafficking going on. It's not just with drugs, and it's human trafficking going on. Like I said, people going to even people doing trafficking drugs carry their ID. They're gonna carry some form of ID. So going to a border without no ID, it just didn't make no sense. It's like you said, somebody wasn't planning to come back, or different things like that. We just live in a time of day where we just have to be careful and vigilant. That's all that I'm saying.
All right.
And I hope
Well,
that. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're on Your Live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi,
Hello.
Tanya. Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
This is Yvette. I was calling.
Hi, Yvette. Where are you calling
You know,
from?
I'm calling from New Orleans.
Oh, Nolan's in the house. All right, Yvette. So talk to us. What's your comment this evening?
Yes, I think when you look at the background of journalists and people really trying to get to the bottom of things, usually the background is important so you can understand that person's mind frame and their thought process to put them in those
Mm-hmm.
particular situations. And then it kind of gives you a little bit of hindsight and insight on what was going on
Mm-hmm.
as far as them.
Yeah.
So I really do believe, it is important because when you look at their criminal background, they, they're not the ones that necessarily plan, and process things with, well, what if this happens? They don't have that what if. It's just, I'm going to do this, and this is how it's going to end. They don't have the plan B.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Impulsivity.
and
Yeah.
time and time again, we have seen where when other things come to light, it changes the dynamic of the whole situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think people do get sensitive though, because we have seen where a victim is then, like everything about the victim is put out, and it's to desensitize you so you won't have any empathy. So I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think some of the
finding out the
information that comes
information.
out begs to question what a person was a victim of. You
Mhm.
know, if a person
Exactly.
is involved in a fight in that went awry and they ended up losing their lives, but they have a long history of provoking fights, that
Mhm.
adds context to whether or not they are a victim, a participant, an aggressor, and with the background, with the long history of selling, manufacturing, as well as the dismissal of charges, I think that all of this paints a much larger story.
Definitely. Especially the location of where everything happened.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
too much of a coincidence. It's too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for calling in, and we appreciate your feedback this evening.
Oh, thank you, Tonya.
All right. So the phone lines are now closed, and I'm going to tell you what it is that I see in the young lady, the friend who was on the news, what's inside of her background. I'll let you all know, right? So this woman, according to what it is that I'm seeing for her first last name and her state, right? She's a booster. She goes into stores and steals. Not only that, she has a few arrests as of 2022 for unlawful entry into enclosed spaces. Was this squatting? Was this being in some sort of retail place she wasn't supposed to be in? But I'm seeing multiples from 2022. And one of the things that I'm seeing is that it was disposed. So each one of them have charges that have been done away with by the authorities. What does this mean? This is why I'm wondering. So she has multiple retail theft, um, unlawful entry into enclosed spaces, unlawful entry into enclosed spaces. And so I don't see, so I see a little bit of possession of some Mary Jane in 2009, but that's, but yeah. Let's see, just small trespassing, so was she squatting? Was she inside of some sort of trap house? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know, but I will say that there is an interesting set of circumstances with these crimes and then the dismissal or disposal of the crimes. So who knows what's going on? Who knows? Who knows? So, nonetheless, that is tonight's show. I'm going to read the last few apples after I get your self love lesson. What is the self love lesson that you learned from today's video? Because it's really all about looking internally. Ethnicity is different than race. Race is Asian, black, white. Ethnicity is like whether you're Caribbean, Latino, American, etc. So there's race and then there's ethnicity on a smaller scale. So nonetheless, so yeah, so I want to see what is the self-love lesson that you all learned from today's video. Let me see. What have you learned? What have you learned? I want to see. So D-Mac is saying, Tonya TKO, you are a mislabeled woman. Get some help. Well, baby, you get some help. Get some help with whatever text-to-speech or grammatical issues you're having. Get some help with that. SLL, what is the self-love lesson? Self-love lesson that you learned from tonight's video? A. Don't be a criminal, or else people won't have sympathy for you. Okay, stop seeing yourself in career criminals just because they're black. My self-love lesson is because you have a past, people will say you deserve to DIE. A haggard band of career criminals, SLL, stay away from family criminals. Be careful who you travel with. Type SLL and type out your self-love lesson. Black people do not like the truth because we all take offense to it. Mind the company you keep. It could be the death of you. Yeah. Don't mess with the cartels. The truth shall set you free. Look out for pets awaiting behaviors. I don't even know how pets have to do with that. Do background checks to keep criminals out of my life. Listen. Value your future. Research before you speak. Don't travel to countries with high alerts. Do your homework before going to these strange places. Remain impartial when receiving information and always vet and research facts. Let's give another minute. Let's give another 2 minutes. No, minute 20 seconds. Give your empathy and energy to people who deserve it. Don't travel to country with high. Hold everyone accountable no matter what. Dentists matter. Watch your travel plans going to other countries. Love myself and I want to improve myself. Do it via the gym rather than knife. Okay, just love everyone. Be kind and care to people. Being Black doesn't mean you shouldn't use critical thinking. Think individually. I am my own person. Come on, 45 more seconds. Wait for the truth. Birds of a feather flock together. If you want change, change the people you surround yourself with. Yeah, I believe that wholeheartedly. Natural is saying Tonya looks sick. Tonya looks beautiful. You look sick, most likely. Honestly. The truth is stranger than fiction. Black people do not like the truth. If a friend tells me I'll be back in 15 minutes, you turn and never look back. Oh my goodness. Yeah. There's some people who just don't deserve to comment and they just got taken out of the loop. So let me grab these last apples and then we shall get out of here. Felicia sends $1. Then she comes back and says, the friend had more emotion than the kids. Listen, for real though. Jack sends $2 and says, second apple. I'm on the tech squad. Great look, T. Thank you. All right, so we got all of the apples for now. You can also send them after we get off air. If you're watching the video later or whatnot, you can always send them through whenever you need to support the show. You can also go to TonyaTKO.com/support, and you can also contribute that way in case you don't have Cash App or whatnot. So so let me go ahead and give you all the self-love lesson that I learned from today's show. So go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself, I say the self-love lesson that I learned from today's video is that we Black people really have to be more vociferous with really separating ourselves from behaviors that don't represent us, rather than just, and I think that we have to have a clear understanding of the fact that everybody can't come. Everybody is not going to come. You know what I mean? Everybody's not going to be, so here, somebody is saying lies. She looks like somebody's uncle. Let's get you taken care of real quick. I don't know who you're talking about, but if transgender people can get themselves gendered properly, there's no reason for you to be talking about women look like men. Go sit down. Sonia says, Tonya, you look gorgeous. Don't listen to the trolls. Listen, I ain't listening to them, because if you look at me and look at them, you'll see what lack of health looks like. Everybody can't come. That is the one thing that I learned, and I think that we need to be more vociferous with calling out bad behavior and being okay with the truth, because we have a lot of people who create a lot of problems in our community. And it's time that we stop pretending as if these people are not creating problems in the community. It's time we stop. And on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Tonya TKO, and I am out. Peace.